All right, today marks 90 straight episodes without LeVar Burton.
Come on, LeVar.
Xander and Marigold were sent home from school for fighting.
They have an armed escort. Who are they fighting?
No! Marigold, you betrayed me for the last time!
Don't be so dramatic. I'm gonna betray you lots more times.
Knuckle noogie! Dad, make her stop! Enough. Couch. Now.
All right, so that is a scene from the new NBC show, 1600 Penn. It stars Bill Pullman.
He plays the president. Now, if you're like us, maybe you haven't seen the show, but you're wondering, wait a minute, which one is Bill Pullman and which one is Bill Paxton?
That's something everyone has wondered at some point in their life. On the line with us now is Daniel Holloway. He's executive editor of Backstage.
So, Daniel, can you help us out?
Yeah. I think you could say that Pullman is sort of a poor man's Crispin Glover, and Paxton is sort of a poor man's Kurt Russell, right? So they're both sort of second-tier versions of a certain type. So Pullman is a bit more on the dweebish, nerdy side.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bit pencil-necked at times. I say this as a fellow pencil neck.
Yep.
And I would say that Paxton is sort of the manlier of the two. He's the guy who more often crops up in Westerns and playing military figures and, killing people and this sort of thing. You can picture Bill Paxton being that guy at, your parents' church that comes up to you during the offering and, shakes your hand too hard and is kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
Pullman, he kind of reminds you of a science teacher or something. You want to shoot a spit wad at him.
That gives me an idea. Okay, just for as a general kind of mnemonic, Paxton is going to play pushier characters.
Okay.
Which is the opposite of pull. Pullman's going to play, it's not a word, but pullier characters, less pushy characters. Is that generally true?
I think that's true. I struggled with coming up with the mnemonic myself for this, actually.
Yeah.
And I think that the one that you've got there is pretty good. I was going to start with the difficulty in creating a mnemonic device for this particular problem is that the names, I have this problem myself with Jeff Bridges and Jeff Daniels, which is unforgivable because their last names are completely different. Their names are almost exactly the same. They both have the same first name. They both have 2 syllables in their last name, same number of vowels, only one consonant off, starts with P, ends with N. I mean, they may as well be the same actor. So I wanted to start with, I came up with something that said, remember your 6 Ps.
Okay.
So it was going to be Pullman plays presidents, Paxton portrays polygamists.
Oh, that's good.
But that doesn't work because you can just flip them.
How about Pax attacks? Because he does, right? He's kind of mean.
Yeah, he is kind of a mean guy, but Pullman, I think, also attacks it. As we said, he was in Independence Day, and he attacks the aliens.
Well, he was a Gulf War veteran. Yeah.
Well, has Pullman ever been a bad guy?
I don't think that he's ever played the bad guy necessarily, although he has such a long resume that I can't imagine that he hasn't. He's been in some bad things.
Well, then I think Pax attacks. That's if you're thinking of a bad guy, it's probably Paxton.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would think Pullman pouts. That's the other thing you see from Pullman in While You Were Sleeping. Kind of a nebbishy guy, not quite. He doesn't have a lot of confidence. In his new show, where he plays the president,
1600 Penn,
he's kind of the browbeaten husband, where he's having to stand up for his family and. Stand up
bewildered or beleaguered.
Yeah, that's right. The beleaguered husband. He's kind of a pouty guy. Pax attacks, Pullman pouts.
I like that.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much. This has been really helpful.
Thanks, guys.
This is How to Do Everything. I'm Mike.
And I'm Ian. On today's show, we'll tell you how to test out your favorite disease.
We have perhaps one of the most exciting toilets of the week coming up.
But first, you may have heard this story that the French actor Gerard Depardieu is going to Russia, possibly becoming a Russian citizen, to avoid the high taxes he has to pay as a wealthy man in France.
So we wanted to give Monsieur Depardieu some tips on fitting in with his new Russian countrymen and women.
Joining us now is Julia Ioffe. She's a staff writer at the New Republic and knows a lot about Russia.
So, Julia, do you have any tips for Gerard Depardieu?
Well, he shouldn't ever drink beer without vodka because, as the saying goes, пиво без водки деньги на ветер, which means beer without vodka is like throwing money to the wind.
Huh.
Yeah.
How do you do that? What's the order?
Nah, all at once.
Just get in there.
Yeah.
Like a Boilermaker.
Right.
So beer without vodka is like throwing money to the wind. What's something else along that line?
Also, he should know that there are no Russian words for anything business-related. So if he were to go into business, he would be a businessman.
Oh.
Businessman.
A businessman. And if he were to, let's say, meet a nice lady who's also doing business, she would be a business lady.
Why is that that's not part of the language?
I don't know, 70 years of communism might
Yeah.
have something to do with it. So if they were to, and let's say him and his business partner were to go on a weekend for, let's say, fishing or hunting, there would be a lot of banya time, and that would involve a lot of prostitute time as well.
Oh. All right.
Yeah.
Wait, what? That's to be expected. That's part of the. When do the prostitutes come?
It's a different kind of business lady.
Are there any good phrases, maybe just like aphorisms or things that would be good for a new Russian citizen just to toss out?
Well, if you were to try to get down with the youth, you could say things like ok, which is okay,
Ok.
just pronounced like okay, pronounced. There's a lot of really, really colorful sayings that are, when you translate them into English, they sound utterly insane.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you were to drop one, casually in the middle of a phrase, that would go well. For example, if you were cautioning somebody to, let's say, drink beer without vodka, he would say, "А то потом будешь локти кусать," or else you'll be biting your elbows later. You'll regret it. It's hard to do. I mean, I don't know if you've ever tried biting your elbows. It's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, I'm not getting there.
I'm not good at that.
Now, is there are there potential faux pas that Gerard might commit, not knowing the culture?
Don't try to split the bill at a restaurant.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, either pay for the whole thing, or or let somebody else pay for it and get them back later. But don't like nickel and dime people.
All right. So So don't split the bill. Anything else?
Don't split the bill. What else should he? He should not smile a lot. Don't smile. Russians think that's fake.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no smiling. That's just lame. Actually, another bit of advice. You should understand that in Russian culture, there's no word for privacy.
Now, does that continue to behavior? Can you expect
absolutely,
that a door is going to open at any time?
It's more like, for example, I've had instances where in most pharmacies, everything's kind of behind the counter, including, like tampons, condoms, antibiotics. So you have to, it's all over the counter, but you have to actually get it over. You have to ask for it and get it over the counter.
Right.
So people will line up behind you, but it's more like they're kind of like, their head's almost resting on your shoulder while you're asking for cold medicine or, feminine products. And I've actually once was buying antibiotics, and I had the choice between a generic Russian one for 50 cents or the German-made one for $10. And I figured I'd be safe and go with the German stuff. And the woman behind me, whose head was almost resting on my shoulder, said, "Why did you pick the expensive one?" And there's also no understanding of win-win situations, and I think that's very important for him to understand if he wants to position himself as a real man, as a muzhik. Trying to compromise is often seen as weakness. So, if somebody else is winning, it must mean you're losing. You have to try to one-up them, try to screw them over more than they're screwing over you. A lot of suspicion.
Oh.
That combined with the no smiling and lack of privacy, it sounds like a real paradise.
That's why people drink a lot.
Well, Julia, thank you so much, and I think we can, on behalf of Gerard Depardieu, thank you as well for this great advice.
Oh, okay. He's very welcome.
received at 3:12 p.m. today.
Hi, Ian and Mike. This is Kate calling from Rochester, New York, and I have some completely impractical questions about riding dinosaurs. Let's say that someday we're able to bring dinosaurs back to life, Jurassic Park style. In that unlikely circumstance, how would you ride a dinosaur? What type of dinosaur would be ideal to ride? And are there some dinosaurs that might be easier or harder to ride? Thanks for taking my question.
Oh, obviously side saddle.
A.D. Bryant, she is a cast member on Saturday Night Live and has no experience with dinosaurs.
Because, I think that's a lady's way to ride it. I guess I'm into that because I wear a lot of dresses, and I would feel uncomfortable having, crotch to dino skin. So I would go side saddle for sure.
Well, they're big beasts.
Yeah.
And so even to go to straddle it would be really...
Yeah, it would be horrible, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
So maybe you ride the neck?
Like a stegosaurus has a lot of spikes on its back.
So then if we're talking stega, then I'm definitely going to just, strap myself on the bottom, How
about take an apatosaurus, which is what we used to call a brontosaurus. Really long neck.
Well, that seems like the most fun one to ride to me because it's like a sliding situation maybe, and those always seem the nicest because they almost have a smile on their face, I feel like. So I think that one would be the easiest maybe.
How about a T-Rex? Short arms, vicious teeth.
I think that's you almost want to deal with that the way you would with a shark and be on its nose or something. Yeah. Everybody knows that's how you deal with sharks, right? But I heard that that's the most their most vulnerable spot is their nose. So you punch them in the nose.
So during the ride, if things went wrong,
if he tried to eat me or Miss Tate, then she could kick him in the nose, I think.
We heard from Molly. She says she listens to our show while she's laying down, getting ready for a nap.
Oh, that's a good thing to do when you listen to our show.
I don't know whether to feel bad about that. In any event, Molly, these next 15 seconds are for you.
That is laying down music.
I could sleep to this.
I'm just going to put my head back.
And sleep my face off. So we should say this next segment, the carry rule applies. We would like to remind you when some of our segments are a little bit gross. So maybe fast forward 3 minutes or so ahead if you get grossed out by stuff.
Vomiting Larry is a robot that is being used by scientists in Britain to test the effects of the norovirus on human beings.
And we were very curious about how a robot vomits and how you make a vomiting robot.
So joining us now to talk about it is Kat Makeson. She created Vomiting Larry.
So tell us basically, what is Vomiting Larry?
Vomiting Larry is a simulated vomiting system, essentially, that looks very much, head-wise anyway, like a human. He has a simulated head, which is a mannequin head called Airway Larry, and he is what medical students use generally to practice things like laryngoscopies on, and hence the term Larry. Oh. So his esophagus, the part of the food pipe, is then connected to a cylinder which represents Larry's stomach, and that we fill with water. And the whole thing is mounted on a wooden frame which stands about 5'3" tall, so a little bit taller than myself.
Oh. But not a tall man, Vomiting Larry.
Not a tall man, no. Tall enough for me.
So
yeah.
Did you consider giving Larry other names when...
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I think other people have considered other names like Puking Pete, for example, but we didn't.
And the thing with Vomiting Larry is that he's standing upright the whole time. When he vomits, he doesn't bend over. He doesn't try and find a toilet or a bucket. He just stands straight, stock still, and pushes all that vomit out.
That's true, and that can happen with norovirus because although symptoms vary from person to person, the key symptom with norovirus is projectile or forced vomiting, which is quite explosive, as you've probably seen.
Yeah.
And that process usually doesn't involve the feeling of nauseousness beforehand, and also you don't get that retching either. So you can be stood up and literally just vomit as Larry does, which is why we used him in a stood position, for example.
And do you ever have contests in the lab to see who can get Larry to vomit the farthest?
No. It's quite a serious bit of research, even though he is good fun.
Well, that's a little tip. If you ever get bored, you could put bets on who could get him to go the farthest out. Well, Kat, thank you so much. That was great, and please give our best to Larry.
I will do.
We are still collecting your toilet nominations for your favorite public restrooms around the country, around the world.
Yeah, this time we're going outside our borders here in America to Israel with this submission from Tyler.
My girlfriend and I moved out to Beersheba. She's in a joint U.S.-Israeli medical school to become a doctor. And she came out a month before me, and the one morning that she had, she was like, hey, I got to warn you before you come over. She found this nice little apartment and everything. She's like, I want to tell you about, there's this, there's this bathroom issue.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, okay, fine. She's like, I can't really elaborate, but you'll understand once you get here. It involves a squeegee. And I'm like, okay.
Oh.
So I came over in the first day, and she's like, well, go check out the bathroom. And I went to check out the bathroom. The first thing I noticed that there is the laundry or the washer and dryer in there.
All right.
And then I noticed the sink, and then I noticed the toilet, and then I noticed right above the toilet, and there's no partitioning of anything, is that there's a shower head.
All right. Like above the toilet?
Yeah, above the toilet. So it's a shoilet, so you can shower and toilet. Once you're in or on the toilet, you're in the shower. I got
to ask, is shoilet, now, is that a word that you made up, or is that what this is called?
I had heard, here in Israel, that's what they call it, is a shoilet.
I can imagine how it works, but can you tell us how it works?
So you can sit on the toilet, and then the shower head comes off, and it detaches, and then it swivels. You can pull it around. It's like on a tether, and you can pull it all the way around, and then you put it back in. And so you sit and you shower in this while you, and quite possibly you can do the same two things at the same time.
Wait, so you're actually, while you're showering, you're sitting on the toilet with sort of a handheld nozzle showering.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so you could I'm sorry, it's hard to get my head around this. So you could be sitting on the toilet, reading the paper, and taking a shower.
Yeah, and in my apartment, I also could be washing my clothes. So I could spend my entire Saturday mornings.
I don't want to get too personal, but have you done it all? Let's say at once.
No. I haven't gotten there. I guess culturally, at some point I will. I guess, but I haven't been able to bite the bullet.
Has your girlfriend ever? I don't want to ask that question. I just am curious. Have you talked to anybody who's been like, yeah, I save so much time this way?
Oh, we have one friend in her program who's also studying to be a doctor who absolutely 100% shoilets. Both activities at the same time.
Okay, wait, here's a question, though. Let's say you're in the shoilet, you shower, and then the next person comes in. The toilet seat is going to be all wet. If they're just using the toilet half of the shoilet, the oilet half, that's really unpleasant.
Yeah, it is, but they give you a squeegee, and in every bathroom in Israel, there's a squeegee to squeegee things down.
All right.
In between uses.
Well, Tyler, congratulations. You have this week's Toilet or Shoilet of the Week.
Yay!
That does it for this week's show. What we learned today, Mike?
I learned that in Israel, there is a bathroom that contains wonders that allows me to get done with so much of the things I do in the morning that take a lot of time. Go to the bathroom, take a shower, probably brush my teeth. It's all right there.
All the drainage is there.
I think you could probably get a kind of a plug in a hot pad nearby so that at least you reach out and you could maybe get a frying pan.
Make an omelet, maybe a shamlet it would be called.
I think it'd be a fun game to go to a department store and replace one of the mannequins, say like in the men's section, with a vomiting Larry.
That would have really made that movie Mannequin very different if it had, instead of a mannequin that came to life and then was then a beautiful woman, vomiting Larry came to life and was just some guy that just couldn't stop throwing up.
Hey, wait a minute, what happened?
How to Do Everything is produced by Blythe Haga with technical direction from Lorna White.
Our intern this week is, we still don't have an intern. So maybe Molly, if you're still asleep, you could be our intern.
Yeah, sleeping intern. Sweet dreams.
You can send us your questions at howto@npr.org.
Our website is howtodoeverything.org. I'm Ian.
And I'm Mike.
Thanks.